Hello, this is Voyager time. I'm rocking your worldview. I would consider writing a paper about it if there was a convenient forum to publish it. I'm Andrew, and with me today is...
Sarah.
Ben.
Nathan.
Today we're talking about Voyager episode 12 on Netflix, Cathexis, a shuttlecraft with... his name... I used to feel like I could do it, and now I screwed it up one time, and every time I see his name written, my brain goes, Chakotay, and that's all I can think about.
You know what? The Oculus of Rehabilitation says, be better.
Today we're talking about Voyager episode 12 on Netflix, Cathexis, a shuttlecraft with...
You can just start at a shuttlecraft.
A shuttlecraft with Chakotay? Chakotay. A shuttlecraft with Chakotay.
Just say Chakotay a bunch of times.
Chakotay.
Chakotay. A shuttlecraft with Chakotay and Tuvok aboard is attacked. Chakotay is left brain dead while Tuvok begins acting strangely. An unknown force begins controlling crew members. The Voyager has fired 2 of its 38 photon torpedoes.
I'm thinking there's going to be such a long gap between the next torpedo launch. This is going to be 2 for so long.
Well, they usually do some drama in the season finale, which we're kind of getting closer and closer to.
Where they use 30 torpedoes.
Well, I would be surprised if it was that many, but...
I'm excited for that to end with the Voyager has fired 3 of its 38 photon torpedoes.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that I know that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's where they pull out the...
That happens a lot there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, eventually we're going to run into the Borg, and I assume we're going to start launching them then.
Well, yeah, but that's not until for a few seasons.
Oh my god, how many? Like 2?
I'm pretty sure it's season 4.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I was going to say it's a few.
Isn't Voyager only like 7 seasons long?
Yes.
I'm sorry, only 7 seasons?
That's
a pretty good amount of seasons for a show.
No.
Well, we're talking about relative to like Grey's Anatomy, so...
Okay, yeah. Sorry, you're right. I should always be comparing to Dallas and Grey's Anatomy. You're right.
No, I meant only in terms that means we only get 3 seasons of like what I think is considered the good Voyager stuff, right?
I mean, I haven't seen really a reason to think the season 1 stuff isn't good. Like, I just remembered it getting better as it went, but right. I don't like hate what we've seen so far.
Although I tell you what, I kind of wish this episode had stuck to the Jane Austen era holodeck novel.
Yeah,
that was
very
not
nervous.
Jane Austen. That was Charlotte Bronte. Thank you very much.
Didn't they write in the same era?
No.
Really? Wait.
Jane Austen was earlier.
Charlotte Bronte was way later. Yeah. Oh boy. I'm sure glad we captured my complete lack of knowledge on that on microphone so we broadcast publicly. Great. That's really good.
I'm glad because we've already addressed mine about Dallas.
Uh-huh. I won't acknowledge that my understanding is equal to yours there. I
obviously also knew.
I mean, I was saying it as a joke because I knew you guys didn't know that, so it was fine.
Yeah, how did you know this was Charlotte Bronte?
Yeah, what's this actual book?
It's not an actual book. I looked it up to see if it was an actual book, but they basically seem to have taken elements from
like Wuthering Heights. It felt like.
Well, no, Jane Eyre and Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which is a much more recent than theirs, but it had similar kind of vibes to those for sure. Because like the governess thing is very Bronte. But then the like dead wife and the guy with the secret is very, well, that's also very Bronte. But also, but that's also seems more like Rebecca to me. I know that means nothing, but somebody out there might know what I'm talking about. So that's for you, theoretical person.
Dead wife and guy with the secret is a genre I want a lot more of.
Well, Victorian Gothic novels are here for you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I know of Rebecca because of Theater Days.
Oh.
And it was
you put on your one-man show of Rebecca?
No, just because it was a reference that I had to understand for Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh. Good movie, by the way.
Quite.
If we get any followers on Twitter, we will review Arsenic and Old Lace.
What? For the Patreon backers.
When did we agree to this?
Right now.
Oh, boy.
Arsenic and Old Lace is not like a chore to watch.
No.
It's
okay, fair.
It's a comedy.
It's a delight.
That's how Allison and I, like, that was the play that we got together during, because we were both the leads in that play in our homeschool theater production.
Yeah, how many people were in that
couple
play?
goals.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode started out very strongly, and then it went nowhere and was kind of, I thought, pretty lazy by the end.
You mean with the hollow novel? That was the strong start.
That was the strong start. Well, I really like the concept here.
I'm so interested in them starting off with this hollow novel. I was like, okay, what's this gonna be? This could be interesting.
Well, I was kind of initially annoyed. I was like, we just had a fucking hollow novel episode literally last week. And so I was going to be annoyed, although it was a topic, or it seemed like it would be more interesting to me than the Beowulf thing. But because Victorian Gothic is like one of my favorite genres. So I was excited, but then
it was this.
Just went away completely and they didn't even talk about it again.
Which was so annoying.
I think it's going to end up being a thing where it's like a recurring thing where Janeway goes in and every once in a while it's relevant and then maybe later it comes in has a full episode.
Okay.
It's just like her hobby is that thing. That's my guess. I don't actually remember, but I feel like that would be what they were going for.
You would think that if you have only an hour to write an episode, you'd want to link thematically your opener with the rest of the episode. I guess maybe you could do like Guy with a Secret is related to Tuvok having a secret, which is that he's possessed. Thing.
That whole section was supposed to be part of a different episode.
What?
I figured that out.
The editing mistake.
No, they
fucked up in the editing.
They just moved it. I don't remember why, but I was reading about this episode because I was trying to figure out. I got sidetracked a lot in the first like half of this episode, first like 10 minutes really, because I was like, okay, is this a real book? And then I got distracted looking up different types of horror, like Gothic horror or whatever. And then anyway, this is, it was supposed to be in, I think the episode was called Eye of the Needle. The Nebula one.
Yeah.
The other Nebula one.
That was the wormhole one.
Was that the one with the tiny wormhole?
Oh, yeah, that was the wormhole.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was supposed to be the opener for that, but then they changed it for some reason. And then they're like, but we still want to have this be. So it must be a thing that's going to become a recurring thing. Otherwise, why would they bring it back?
Yeah.
So.
Are you saying it's like we're going to get to see continuations of this story throughout the series?
Yeah. I mean, they did that in Next Generation with this one detective thing that Picard was always going and playing around with, and not a Sherlock Holmes thing. That was a different detective thing.
My God. I'm so excited for this. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This is, I wish that it had been the whole episode compared to what it was actually, but.
I mean, I feel like it would have to continue that story because otherwise it would just be such such a random thing to put in the beginning because it was, like you said earlier, it's completely, topically unrelated. So.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like the plot of her little hollow novel, she's playing this new governess coming to this house that's like it's very stormy, of course, and spooky, and the housekeeper's a total a-hole to her for no reason. And then there's two kids, and then the guy comes. It's like this whole spooky.
Miss Davenport, I'll come to the point. I am not an easy man to live with. Since my wife died, I'm told I'm even worse. She was a buffer for me. The children's are the one who've suffered. I've not been much of a father to them, and God knows I can't be a mother. I'm not asking you to replace their mother, but I think that they'll respond to a woman's sensibilities. You might fill a void in their lives.
Yeah.
This is Andrew's audition monologue.
Yeah.
For his various local theaters.
I really loved this whole segment here. It was so moody. I didn't realize it was aiming to be horror. That makes a lot of sense now because it was quite like creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the mood of it. Yeah,
I mean, horror is probably too strong, but like, that spooky vibe. Yeah.
It's interesting though with the hollow novels. It's like, I know you're supposed to kind of be acting out the part, but I was like, well, Janeway is very much still Janeway. Like, in this, so it's interesting with the hollow novels, like how do they give some freedom to be a a role in the novel while still keeping it on rails.
Right. Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I even wrote down, I was like, how do these actually work? Like, are you allowed to just go in and do whatever you want? Or do you have a script that you have to like memorize and then you just go and it's like a play, but no one is watching, it's just for you?
Yeah, because we saw aspects of that in the Beowulf one, where it's like, you know, some of the quote scripted stuff was the same for everyone that went through, but then they like obviously went very different directions when they progressed through it. So
my impression has always been like there's like a story that you're playing along with, and like the computer will make that story direction happen no matter what you're gonna do. So like even if you improvise, like the story will continue the way it's supposed to, however that ends up working. But like I don't know, they never go into anything about this, like, because it's boring, I guess, but I think I would like to know how it works.
It's
basically game design.
It seems like a really advanced visual novel to me.
Yeah.
Like way more.
But you don't get dialogue choices. You get to just talk. So
you're the dialogue choice.
Yeah.
You make the choices.
But like, to what end? Can it, like, if you act so outside of the actual plot of the novel, like, how would it recover from that? Do you just break it and it like starts over again, like choose your own adventure, or
maybe
like?
Well, like if you did,
or
something
is it just
like
a big?
If Janeway just went crazy and started murdering those people that were in the house, like I'm sure the computer would be like, error, like, or something like.
Or is it literally just like a big like playground, like a big sandbox, so where you can just like, you are thrown into this setting to, you know, act out these, you know, characters, and it will respond to your decisions.
Right.
There are a lot of games that have explored this concept. It's also the subject that comes up often on a very good podcast called Idle Thumbs. Ben, I think you and I could probably come up with a list of things to put in the comments for those who are interested in pursuing it more. Not that I don't love this conversation, but I would love to get back to talking about Voyager.
Yeah, 20 minutes on the opening.
I mean, I guess because the rest of it is the crew is being alternately possessed by an alien, and Tuvok is acting weird, and then it turns out that the alien that's possessing everybody is actually Chakotay, I guess, disembodied brain or spirit or whatever that's going around.
His bio-neural energy.
Thank you. To stop the alien that has possessed Tuvok from flying the ship into the nebula, where all the aliens inside will eat their bio-neural energy. And what could have been a really great episode all about like suspicion and not being able to trust your fellow crewmates and that kind of thing just sort of peters out and turns into, it was just weird. There was like a lot of
really flattened
stuff.
Yeah, it really flattens quickly. Like, it felt like it was ramping up to something that could have been really good, and then it's kind of leveled out like halfway through.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of really light, like it was a lot of light, like, is it you? Is it you? Is it you? And it felt like it was just like that the last half of that.
And then Harry like zones out for a second, and they're like, "Are you possessed?"
That was really great. I know.
I was like, I think he was literally just zoning out and not paying attention to what they were saying, and then they're like, "I'm very disturbed by what just happened." It's like,
yeah,
you guys need to chill.
I finished watching the episode and was like, did I miss something? I like looked away from the screen for a second. Did I miss something in the process? Why is everything okay now? So I watched it. I watched the ending 3 times like, after the fact, because I was like, okay, I think this is where I missed something. And I was like, no, I saw all that.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where I missed something. Nope. Once again, saw all of it and just like kept on going back a little bit until I realized, oh no, it just kind of ends.
It kind of feels like a cheat at the end. Yeah. But just all gets wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking the random extra guy that just kept having lines was going to be like some figment of imagination, and like and so I mean I looked it up and I found out who he was, and I know what happens to his character now, and I mean I was a little bit of a spoiler. I mean a lot of a big spoiler for the next episode, but it seemed like they were putting him in this one because he's going to be in the next one, and it didn't want to just be like a random guy that they pulled out of nowhere for the next one.
Hey, but his only job in this episode is to explain what's going on around them.
He's a glorified red shirt now.
Right, that's basically. And like the fact that he was telling Janeway things that Tom or Harry, who were both right there, should have probably said to her, because that's their role on the show. I seriously thought he was going to be the bad guy, because he kept appearing for no reason.
I
kept getting... Go ahead, Nate.
Oh, I was just going to say, it stood out a lot.
Yeah. He'd like literally push his way through a crowd to say something we already knew, and then not be in that scene anymore.
Yeah.
To be immediately irrelevant.
And I'm here too.
Yeah.
I'm Ensign. And then he cuts away.
Because his name doesn't actually fucking matter.
Right.
Did he have a name?
No.
He has a name in the credits.
But he wasn't named in the
IMDb. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe his name is in the second one that he's in.
If he had a name, it was not memorable enough for us all to actually know it, so...
I think he's like a Danny or something, or...
It's Pete Durst.
Oh, yeah.
Durst! Are you kidding me?
No. I looked it up on IMDb. Lieutenant Pete Durst.
Yep.
I assume he is descended from Fred Durst.
Fred Durst, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Pete Durst. I mean, he's a Pete Durst, all right, just from looking at him.
Uh-huh. Toe to tip, that's a Durst.
That's what I was thinking.
So my first thought when they were noticing weird things going on, it was particularly with Paris. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the one that's gonna be framed again, huh? he's the old victim here again.
I felt like they were reusing a lot of things, because the holodeck thing, and then the Doctor is the only one who can do this thing because he's a hologram, which they just did in the last episode along with the holodeck stuff, and then the Paris being the fall guy for whatever they think is like. Well, you're the one that the code was on the thing when you did what I don't even remember. It was not a super memorable episode of specifics outside of the holodeck part, I guess. But
how did they not think that they would just shut down the Doctor when they gave the codes to the Doctor?
I don't know.
Paranoia got to him.
Yeah, well, it was pretty dumb how they had that whole conversation and they're like, oh, you're the only one we can trust. Then, like, the next scene, that gets completely negated.
Immediately ruined.
Yeah, so...
I thought the Doctor was a good solution.
It was a good try.
It lasted for
valiant
one
attempt.
scene.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
I got really excited for the Doctor being in charge of the ship. Like, how great would that be? But we didn't even get that. They just shorted us on everything cool.
Just... Well,
there's
a lot of show left.
Yeah, just in this episode, the writers made a lot of promises to the audience that we're going to get spooky gothic horror, that we're going to get everybody pointing phases at each other in a cool John Woo Mexican standoff, that the Doctor was going to run the starship. Then we got nothing! Nothing!
We did get Paris punching Kim, though, which was
that must have been really hard for him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Although he didn't really blink.
He hit it well. He just.
They were standing very close together at that console.
Yeah.
And I know the reason is because the camera needs them to be both of them in frame, but
I don't think that was the reason.
That is the reason.
No.
If you look at, they're like filling up the entire frame and they're still standing that close.
No. It's because Harry Kim smells so nice.
Harry had his arms wrapped around, Paris from behind, and then Paris just gave him the old backhand punch.
I did like that little scene on the bridge where it's like everybody punching each other, shooting each other. Like, that was just a great, quick little moment.
And then Tuvok just shoots everyone.
Everybody!
Everyone in the room.
Fucking everybody.
Those phasers can do that thing now that we never knew they could do before.
Phasers can do whatever you can think of.
Yep.
You can recalibrate them to do anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's how everything in Star Trek works.
It's a perfect writing device. Hey, what the fuck do we need to happen in this episode? I don't know. Just make the phaser or tricorder do it.
Or the
works.
transporter, or the
yeah.
replicator.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
the holodeck even.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Or maybe Chakotay is a ghost.
What did you guys think about the medicine wheel part?
That was bad news.
Yeah.
No.
My note was literally,
same.
oh, we're back on the racist shit again, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Although I'll give him a tiniest bit of credit. The actor who plays Chakotay is Mexican American, and those were clearly South American ancient like art things, Incan, Mayan, Aztec style drawings on there.
Right.
I'm not saying it makes it better. I'm just saying it makes it like one iota less awful.
I think it could have been.
If I'm giving them any credit, it may be misguided, but at least for the time, it was an attempt at inclusivity.
Yeah.
But they just made shit up.
It's just, yeah.
And it's fake, and it's not real, and
Yeah.
it's just everything about it is bad.
I'm not trying to justify it by any means.
No, I know you're not.
The idea of medicine wheels, that is real. But it doesn't look like that. And
It's a totally
there
different
isn't
thing.
a mountains of the antelope women of there's
Yes.
a bunch of sexy ladies that you get to
Yeah,
go
what the
hang out
hell?
with. I was like the whole scene seemed to be like it was just written for the Doctor to be able to make that joke, that racist joke, basically
Yeah.
making fun of
It's-
Chakotay's beliefs.
Well, it does reveal later. They use it for the extremely convenient placement of those 3 planetoids they use to guide their way out of the system.
Yeah, because Chakotay possesses
The rocks, I guess? Oh, no.
No, he possesses a person.
Oh, yeah,
Neelix, right.
Neelix.
I was like, who
Yeah.
was
I just
there?
chose not to see Neelix.
So yeah, like he speaks through Neelix, but what he should have done is possess a person who is writing at a console and then just type the thing that he wants them to say into the thing explicitly with words
Fucking anything else, really.
instead of I'm going to use these rocks to send a message and make them guess what I'm talking about.
Speaking Neelix's is my favorite Star Trek themed Talking Heads cover band.
Okay.
The solution for their issue of like being trapped in this new nebula that's also trying to kill them, it made no sense. Why was flying by 3 different planetoids all of a sudden a key to get out of the nebula?
It's a
I
great
don't-
question.
Star Trek space reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just it felt like one of those, it felt video game logic-y in like,
Well,
we gotta
yeah.
hit the 3 checkpoints to get out of the fog gates. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was something like, this is the safest way to go that won't have weird interference that will hurt our ship or some shit like that. I don't know.
But they don't explain it.
It was
It's a good
bad.
point.
No, of course not. They're just like, this is what Chakotay says, so we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's what Chakotay says.
So I'm
Well, it did turn out to actually be
confused
that.
Right.
by the limits of his consciousness melding, whatever we call it, because he said when he woke up that it was with specifically with people that were in the room with him. I'm trying to recall, wasn't there times that he was doing that outside of that room?
Oh, yeah.
Like right away.
Most of the time.
He got Paris like while he was on the bridge.
Okay, Nate, but what is a starship if nothing but a giant room?
It's just one big room.
What
You
is
just gotta
space
float
if not
was
a
it
giant
thing?
room?
Was it a thing where when the people came into the room, he could go into their bodies and then...
Oh, he just
Go-
was right. He was just along for the ride out of the room.
I would guess that's what they meant.
Got it. So at some point, Paris was
'Cause
in
do
there
you-
before going back
Do you
to the
think
bridge.
he
and
would have
that's-
actually willingly possessed Neelix? Like,
This
the
is
only
my
reason
option
is because
here.
he was there.
This is what I got to work with.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Lordy, yeah.
This episode was tough. I was sitting there watching it thinking, I have to think of things to write about this. I have to think of notes to write here.
Well, can we take a quick visit to the captain's table?
I was gonna ask if you had this.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in this one. I saw some gourds and some squash, some pears, some horned melons, some big potatoes, radicchio, some sweet potatoes, a star fruit, a lot more gourds, some purple potatoes, and then just some regular old ginger.
No, it's not ginger. It's that thing that they found on that one plant.
Right, that's yeah. But this one wasn't spray painted as far as I could tell, so I think it was just ginger.
Also, the way that he was using that walk was...
What is he doing?
Fuck
Why
was
is it
that?
eye level?
Why does he need a walk at eye level?
Terrible.
The whole point of having a walk, too, is that you're supposed to be able to, like, shake it around.
It's a space walk.
That's called an EVA.
Neelix is an alien. He cooks differently.
And have you seen his shoulders? They are enormous.
Neelix's?
Yeah, he's got no problem holding everything up at eye level because his deltoids are the size of spaceships. I had a question. Chakotay forced B'Elanna to eject the warp core. Like, do you go back and pick that up? Like,
nope, can't warp anymore.
Do you have another one on board? What do you do?
They did say at the end that they went back to the coordinates of the warp core and picked it back up.
But wasn't that back inside the nebula?
No, it was outside of it.
No, that was before they got in.
Because the alien was making them go inside.
So it was Chakotay once again just like, fuck it, let's lose the engine, I guess. Like,
because the shuttle up until the end was the only thing that was ever in the nebula until they were hijacked and forced to go into the nebula.
Man, the concept of like disembodied alien crew member fighting a possessed crew member, like that's such a cool idea, and they just totally pooped on it.
It would have been more interesting if it had been from the point of view of Chakotay.
Oh, that would have been really cool.
Because then he's walking around and he's like, no one can see me. What's happening? Which, I mean, I feel like that's actually another Star Trek episode. I don't know what it is, but I feel like they did that on Next Generation at one point. But that they could have done that. They don't. It's not like they don't. It's not like they care about copying themselves and other things. So.
And you know what? If they had done that, it would have happened 4 years before The Sixth Sense came out.
Okay.
Wasn't that the thing? I've never seen that movie. Isn't that the thing in The Sixth Sense?
God.
Isn't he dead the whole time?
But the whole...
Yeah, but that's not...
He's just walking around trying to like get work and stuff.
That's the whole point. Is you don't know that until the end of the movie because
he doesn't know the movie, Andrew.
Now he doesn't know he's dead.
I had never seen that movie, and you've ruined it for me.
I'm sorry, I ruined a 2-decade-old movie for you.
The last thing I have to say is I thought it was hilarious at the end when the doctor is like all impressed with. He's like, I did this really amazing thing, and it would take me 10 hours to explain it, and I would write a paper on it, like you said in the intro, and they just look at him like, okay, and I'm just like, he's breaking new medical ground like every single episode, and no one gives a shit, and it's just so sad.
Cool.
He made him in holographic lungs,
right?
And they're like, hey, thanks, you can go now. Right,
like your scene is your time in the scene is over. Goodbye.
Do we have anything else for Voyager?
I sure don't.
No.
The thing is, this episode it didn't feel bad until the very end, and then it just felt rushed.
Yeah. It had such potential to be a good episode, and it just kind of landed on its face.
Yeah. Apparently, it was challenging to write. The writer of it had a hard time, and it shows.
Yeah.
They were definitely just like, we need to get something out there.
Yeah. Well, this week we also watched Adventure Time episode 23, Rainy Day Daydream. Stuck indoors due to a raining knife storm, Finn discovers that Jake can make his imagination come to life, which starts to cause chaos. The two rush off to Jake's imagination, but Finn realizes he must turn his on to achieve their ends. And episode 24, What Have You Done? Without giving good details, Princess Bubblegum tells Finn and Jake to capture the Ice King as their prisoner, but when they interrogate him, they think that he's innocent. After realizing their grave mistake, Finn and Jake right the wrongs they have caused. I really like this pair of episodes. I thought that they were imaginative in interesting and fun ways. and I really liked. Well, we'll get to it. The second one I thought was phenomenal.
I very much enjoyed this whole concept of the fact that the imagination things that Jake was imagining were corporeal but not visible to Finn. Just that whole concept was very interesting to animate, I guess, to have all of those things be shown as interacted with without actually
and to
they
give
one
Finn's,
shot at the beginning.
Also to really give Finn's actions like weight and like make it feel like he's actually reacting to something when there's not anything there. Like to do that, I feel like is really impressive. So
except it is until you realize that could have
it's a drawing.
Right, it's a drawing. Could have just drawn the thing in there and then erased the thing.
Or just drawn the thing and then been like, oh, I don't have to draw a big monster. It's just the same room that we used last time.
Right, they're not drawing the two things at the same time. They could just not draw the one thing.
Right. Yeah.
I was also impressed until I realized that fact. I was like, oh, okay.
But
Sarah, how'd you feel about these episodes? She didn't like them, guys. She didn't like them.
The first one had some stuff in it I liked.
Was it Jake with the cute girls?
It was the
Cute
Bellamy
girls
bug.
and hamsters.
Oh yeah, that was good.
And then I thought Jake was funny when he didn't have his imagination anymore.
One note is all that is required.
Yeah.
So I know that is, obviously different than just imagination, but like I'm thinking this whole concept of the involuntary imagination stuff happening, like I don't know, like I have that happen like in dreams sometimes, like I can sometimes have like the lucid dreaming happen or whatever, where it's like, I hope this thing doesn't happen, and then it just does immediately because
immediately goes
you
wrong.
made it
way
worse
into
you thought of what could be worse. Yeah.
So just it was a very interesting aspect of that, just the involuntary actions of the imagination.
Right.
Just like when you don't want anything dainty to be in your imagination.
I agree, and I thought it was told really well, especially since it was mostly just shots of Finn running around punching nothing.
Right, that's kind of what I was more referring to earlier. It's like making a compelling episode of television where there's nothing that he's really interacting with for most of the episode was more of the impressive piece than the actual, like, I'm impressed they're animating him this way.
Right.
I enjoyed Jake wagging his tail at the imaginary cute girls.
I know, it's interesting. It's one of those things where Jake does not act like a dog so often, where like Finn saying good boy or good dog at the end of the episode. Right. It's like I both love and hate that, because one, it's very good, but then two, it's like, oh wait, no,
he's still a dog.
He's a dog, but not hard to process him being treated like a dog.
Right.
And they still haven't quite figured out what to do with Jake yet. He's still they're channeling Bender right now.
Yeah.
I liked the riddle part.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Hold, Voyagers.
Imagine an easy riddle.
What is simple and also a riddle? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also at the beginning of the episode, they were going to... So originally they were going to go out and adventure and whatnot, and then there was a knife storm, so they stayed inside. But what they were going to do originally was play video games. So BMO comes out and was like, hey, do you want to play this new game that I made? Or whatever. I thought that was a very interesting point with regards to BMO, that it's like, oh, they are actually creating these games. They're not like a console that they have games to put in who is also sentient. It is a sentient video game machine who is creating its own games.
Conversation Parade.
I didn't say they had to be good games.
I think this was like a good game.
Could be.
They didn't like it, but I was there for it.
I wish they would have gone like one more round. They should have at least given it a chance. They didn't really play test it as well as,
That's true, yeah. Needed more QA. I do think the second episode was the stronger of the two.
For sure.
I'm a big fan of Princess Bubblegum busting out German for no reason, which she does many times throughout the season or the series. There was just a lot of really good, silly jokes throughout this. Like the hidden door that she like grabbed the cheek of as the password, and they go through its mouth. And all the tables she had around that she could just flip whenever she was frustrated.
I did also appreciate the spraying of the hose, just butt slapping.
Sarah, I sense from the words you said earlier that you were cooler on this episode.
I'm just bored with the Ice King. Every time he's there, it's the same thing. Like, he's like, "Are you guys my friends?" And then they're like, "Yeah." And then they're not. Like, that was exactly what the last episode he was in was like. The Man Lorette party or whatever. Like, that episode I liked, but then this just felt like another version of that. I don't know.
To a degree.
Just how long can you pretend to be somebody's friend before you're actually just their friend? Like at this point, I feel like
more episodes.
Great.
Sorry,
but has hatred turned into something more? Friendship, best friendship.
Look, in 2020, I appreciated this message a lot more than I did back in 2013. The whole incarceration and that sort of thing, and I really related to what the Ice King was saying. Which sounds insane, but it's true.
Which part?
Well, okay, let me pull up the transcript and get the exact message here.
While you're doing that, I want to call out the specifics of Ice King trying to make his point by holding a mirror up to Finn and Jake and just step by step, just destroying this mirror. Behold, and then the torch blows out so you can't see it, and then behold,
and he great.
Places the mirror into the light and just shatters it. Behold, holds up two pieces of it.
It was that part that clicked for me, where he was thrown in jail for no reason by two people with a lot of power who didn't listen to anything and just did it because an authority told them to, and then he was able to convince them to let him go.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of subtext there.
But wasn't it his fault?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
ultimately,
at the same time, he did also do something to actually be thrown in jail,
and then also refused to help.
Yeah, I mean, I turned around once we got that reveal. I'm not saying he's right in the end. I'm saying in that moment, I was on.
Right.
I was
sure,
on board.
in the moment,
Right.
fair. But also, I was gonna say, like, I feel like the bigger thing here is like somebody pretending to be innocent when they are really the asshole all along. Also, still kind of applicable.
Still relevant.
Yeah,
and he got what he deserved in the end. Like, he got his due slappy D's.
I'm sad that there wasn't another weird dream sequence for him.
I know.
Where he has some revelation about himself and then I guess ignores it. But
yeah,
I'm always here for a weird dream sequence.
I know. So the crime that he committed was he made it snow with his beard flakes.
That was just dandruff, right? That was just dandruff. That grossed me out.
That was gross. That really yucked me out. And then that froze a bunch of the Candy Kingdom.
Yeah.
And what was the resolution of that? He needed to scream in pain, scream in agony or whatever.
Yep.
And he refused to do that willingly, so Finn pretends to die after they quote became friends.
Right. And he screams and everything turns okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Finn was like sad that the Ice King was like, oh well, just take his body away afterwards. And he's like, wait a minute. He's not even actually sad. And then Jake had
Joke's on you. The Ice King was shitty the entire time.
Right.
Who could have called that one?
And Jake's like, I'd clasp you dramatically for 1,000,000 years, or quadrillion years.
Quadrillion years.
I don't know. Like, I see your point, Sarah, about, you know, them having these episodes with Ice King having a similar feeling, but I think it just continues to build dimension on the character until it comes to, I don't know, one of like the bigger episodes that are centered around him later on, whether that was intentional or not. It just feels like that is the,
like, a
I don't
turning
know,
point.
he just wants a friend. Is that the voice of friendship I hear?
Be better. Well, is it time for connections?
Yes.
I think so.
Yep.
I have two that are related, so I will go first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Please.
The first one involves mental energy negatively impacting our characters, basically by erasing their personality from their brain. That happened in both Voyager with Chakotay and when Finn turned off Jake's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Jake's imagination negatively impacting Finn.
Yeah, that was the direction I went with. That was the disembodied forces fighting each other.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any.
I didn't have any either.
What's your other one, Andrew?
I combined them into a single sentence there.
Oh, okay.
The Riddle Master called them Voyagers. That's the name. That's the name of the show that we're watching.
All right, well, join us next time as we watch the Star Trek Voyager episode 13, Faces,
Correct.
and the Adventure Time episode 25, His Hero, and the Adventure Time Season 1 finale, episode 26, Gut Grinder. In the meantime, we'll just wait for you here.
But we need to tell people where to find us and to do the reviews and things.
Google Voyager Time, you'll find us.
I mean, that's
Follow
true.
us on Twitter.
Follow us anywhere
Review
you can.
us on iTunes. Tell your
all
friends.
the things.
Email at us at
the usual
voyenturetime@gmail.com.
What do we want them to
Voyenturetime
email
at
us?
gmail.com.
I don't know yet, and I'm still thinking about that. And
Good coupons to restaurants
that
that we can't go to, and that
Yeah,
makes me sad.
Share
also
your favorite stories
preferably
about
in
Voyager Time.
like in places that we can go to. But also, I don't want to share where I live.
I live in Pflugerville. Tell me all the good Pflugerville restaurants.
They could just send a Grubhub like gift card.
Yeah,
But we're not actually going to ask people for that shit.
No.
Just send us things relating to the podcast. Like, what do you have ideas for cool segments we could do? Or write us some
questions.
songs.
Just
If you have an
feedback
idea for a
questions.
segment, you have to write us a song that we can add to put into it. Because I don't think Nate wants to do it every time.
You don't have to write the actual music to it, but do write lyrics so that we can sing it.
Send me your favorite restaurant to go to in Pflugerville when you watch episodes of Voyager.
Who's watching Voyager at a restaurant?
People with phones, cool people.
You watch TV shows at restaurants?
No, I misspoke, and now you're really nailing me to the wall about it.
Wait, what did you mean to say?
Let me know your favorite cool Pflugerville restaurants to get takeout from while you watch episodes of Voyager.
That's a very different sentence from
Yeah.
what you said.
Yeah, I know it is. I know.
All right.
Until next time, we'll just wait for you here.
By the mausoleum.
With our backs turned.
And our defenses lowered.
Come along with me, and we'll
stuck in Delta Quadrant. We'll get home eventually. Come along with me, and we'll bring this new marquee. They got stuck out here with us, and now we're one big team. Before we get into it too much, can we pause the podcast for just a moment?
All right, putting a pause on.
So I figured out I didn't have opportunity to use it because there wasn't any ethics in this episode of Voyager.
Wait, did you guys actually pause your
No.
recordings?
No, I clapped
This
so
is-
you would know where it was, though. You're welcome.
That's
Okay.
not necessary. I
Because-
just wanted to
Damn
make
it.
sure everyone was still recording.
I was wondering what the clap was about. It was
I
out
tried
of
to help.
excitement. Okay, but yes, ethics song.
Are we gonna get a live version of it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god!
We get a fucking instrumental
Oh my god!
accompaniment. Yeah.
Welcome to your ethics land. I am your ethics band. You can shake our ethics cans.
That was all of it?
That's it. That's all.
So good.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That was my favorite part of the episode.
Oh my god! Thank you for this. Oh my god!
Are you going to record a version I can go in and add to the other episodes we haven't
Oh, we
released?
want to hear that more than once.
Well, we don't need to, but I'm sure the listeners would love to.
I also would love to.
Sorry, I said that wrong. The listener would love to.
Hi,
Jordan, what's up?
Still Jordan. Sorry, Jordan in Pflugerville, so I guess it is still listener.
Pflugerville.
Pflugerville!